Good afternoon. I'm Drew Holley with BIS Benefits. This is America's most boring podcast. Today's topic, top employee benefits platform for HR teams. I would also say, if you're not on an HR team, what do we mean by a platform? Well, typically, what someone that might be researching this topic is looking for is when you hire a new full-time employee, how do you onboard them? How do you bring them onto your company's ecosystem, your system? How do they get paid? Payroll? How do they maybe apply for time off? How do they review their benefits? That's probably the most common, okay? So there's kind of two models that you, an employer, an HR manager, director, can go. You can essentially go direct to the payroll company, the ADPs, the Paychecks of the world, use their payroll systems, and then they kind of have inside their ecosystem a platform for employees to view. I want this medical plan, or I want that dental plan, or I want to change my beneficiary. The dirty secret is most of these payroll companies, they build those platforms because they want the client to stay sticky. But in reality, you might as well be going to a different competitor's website because most of the code and the systems might have the logo of the carrier, but it's a completely different system. And I know this because I've worked with countless of payroll administrators who are screaming, help. This isn't the system I thought it was. Now, some of them do it better than others. But you need to know that when you're buying a payroll and you're buying in kind of an HR enrollment software, if you marry those two with the same company, if you like one side and don't like the other, meaning you like the benefit platform but you don't like the payroll company, sorry, you can't do that. So most businesses are adopting third-party sites like an employee navigator site. That's probably the most common, where essentially you can house your enrollment systems in there and it can EDI or API feed. And yes, those are tech terms. We in the benefit world have to at least somewhat know a little bit about technology. And what that does is allow your employees to house their information into a system, and then it can essentially feed into the payroll company of your choice. So if you're ever soured on payroll company A and you've been with them for 2-3 years, but you don't want to disrupt your staff with their benefit enrollment system, medical, dental, vision, life, all that, you're allowed to pick another payroll company. And most of these enrollment systems allow 10s, 20s, 30, 50 different payroll companies and more. In fact, a company like Employee Navigator is incentivized to want to have more because they want to give all you, the small business HR managers, directors, controllers, finance managers, business owners, an opportunity to have multiple elections. And so often we have found in my career, the payroll reps, think about it, their incentive is they want to give you the payroll and then they want to share their in-house system. But unfortunately, a lot of these people do not know the integral details of how that system feeds into the particular carriers, because they're most likely going to be promoted to a new position. In 3 to 9 months, they are going to move to another payroll company or be out of the payroll system. And so who's left there to pick up the pieces if you didn't have all the facts up front? It's usually you and the broker that you picked. So my advice to everyone is if you're looking for a new HR benefit platform, yeah, it could be done within a payroll vendor, but you need to know the pros and the cons. Again, there are lots of other vendors and competitors outside of Navigator that BIS could happily share the pros and the cons. But it's really the questions you wouldn't think of what you would want to accomplish, of which platform or which payroll company would make the most sense for you. And for that, sometimes you need to have multiple conversations. You need to have it with the payroll vendor, and then you need to have the broker and get all perspectives of what you're ultimately trying to accomplish. And then my number one recommendation is do this outside of open enrollment. You want to do this maybe 6 months or 3 months after an open enrollment, because exploring all these options, you don't want to be right in the middle of open enrollment because it's just too many moving parts. So if you would like the expertise of BIS in picking the best benefit enrollment platform and how that would work with payroll companies, BIS would love to talk to you. Thank you.